utilizing a $0 expense form in order to amortize your prepaid or accrued expenses has some reporting capabilities that you can utilize in QuickBooks Online that a regular journal entry isn't going to afford you, even if you use the name field in your journal entry. Let me show you how that works. So first of all, here we are in March of 2024, and we're looking at our balance sheet. And we can see that our bank clearing account is 0. Yay, that means that we utilized it appropriately, and we're not using our checking or our savings account to muck up those accounts with our $0 entries. And then we want to look at our prepaid expense account. We see that it's $166.70. We want to see actually what makes up that balance currently. We can see that we had a beginning balance of $416.69, and then we had quite a few different transactions, some of which were for ABC Insurance and some of which were for Great American Insurance Group. If we change the reporting period to all dates, and instead of grouping by account, we group by name, when we run the report again, we can see that ABC Insurance has, at all dates, it zeroes out, and at Great American Insurance Group, also for all dates, zeroes out. Of time until our closing period, 3/31/24. We run the report again, and it looks like ABC Insurance is still 0. Look at that. What this means is that it is fully amortized. We made the repayment in January of 2024, and according to our memo, it was only for January, February, and March of 2024, so we should expect that it is fully amortized by March of 2024. On the other hand, our Great American Insurance was initially paid in June of 2023, and it is not yet fully amortized. We're expecting it to go all the way through May of 2024. So we've got a couple more months of amortization left on that one. And now we can see that that is what makes up our balance of $166.70. Well, because we are looking over all of time, when we start going year after year after year, this report could get really kind of unruly with a whole bunch of zeros that we don't necessarily need to see. So that's where the reconciliation feature can come in really handy. Let's go ahead and see what I mean. We're going to reconcile our prepaid expense, and remember that your beginning balance is 0 and your ending balance is 0 just for this reconciliation. Yes, I understand that your balance sheet has a balance on it, but for this reconciliation purpose, what we're trying to look for are any of the amortizations that are fully amortized. So in this case, we know that it's the ABC, and if we sort by payee, we can then check off all of the items that are now fully amortized. They should net to 0, where we had one deposit and the deposits and the payments equal each other. So when we are actually checking off the little items, we are only checking them off if they fully amortize. In addition to that, you don't want to do it in advance, right? I know that we looked to make sure that we posted all of the entries so that over all of time, everything zeroed out. But for this reconciliation purpose, we only want to mark them as cleared in the period as of the period that we are closing the books. If you mark everything as reconciled, then our report won't reflect in this period only the items that are uncleared. And then we go back and we drill down to the transaction report. Once we drill down to the transaction report, let's go ahead and change it from the beginning of time through the period that we are closing. We're going to, again, group it by name and run the report using the little cog, the cleared amount, whether it's cleared or not. So we're going to add another column. And here we can see that because we used the reconciliation feature, the items in ABC insurance have R's on them. The R represents that they are reconciled. And the items in Great American Insurance Group don't have the R. That means that they have not been reconciled, and their balance is what makes up the $166.70. Well, again, this could get really, really unwieldy over time. So if we customize so that we only look at the uncleared items by adding cleared and we want uncleared, when we run this report again, magically, now we have a very succinct report that as of March 2024, we can see exactly what makes up that $166 on our balance sheet. And we don't have to keep a separate report. Other way that we can look at this is utilizing that reconciliation report. So if we go back into Reconcile and we do History by Account, when we look at the reconciliation report for prepaid expenses, we can see that our uncleared transactions are the same as our registered balance as of 3/31/2024, the day that or the period that we're trying to close. What's in the uncleared, we can see exactly what is going to make up that $166.70 going forward. So having this reconciliation report as well as the transaction report, the transaction detail report, gives us the opportunity to see it in two different ways. I like to save this customization so that so that I don't have to create it every time. So if we go back to the report here, now we have the prepaid expenses by vendor. If you do all dates, then it's going to show you the 0. You're going to make sure that you change that for whatever period it is that you're trying to close. So again, this gives you a really good opportunity to see not only that your balance sheet has supporting documentation and you know exactly what makes up that $166, and you don't have to keep a separate schedule offline. So by utilizing functionality of a $0 expense form, as well as the reconciliation feature, now you are confident that your numbers are not only complete, but they are accurate, and you also get the added value of not having to have a separate schedule. Instead of using journal entries for things like prepaid expenses, accrued expenses, customer deposits, that you utilize $0 expense forms or $0 sales receipts. Remember that the expense forms are for money going out and sales receipts are for money coming in and revenue. Things like the customer deposit would be the sales receipt. Things like prepaid expenses would be the expense form. Good luck, you guys.